Hi, my name is Dharmendra and I'm Mumbai's first mind map trainer. Welcome to another session on the web series Odyssey, how I became a super successful trainer and a super successful author from being a super successful trainer. Let me just tell you something about the nature of books. No motivational stuff, no rainbows, no fluff. The harsh reality. And the harsh reality about books is that most people in the world don't read books and don't buy books at all. When I was in school, I was treated like an outcast. People called me a bookworm. They thought I wasn't enjoying life enough. They thought I wasn't freaky enough. Freaky was a big term used in the 1980s. So it's not considered to be cool to be a book reader. That's why most people in the world don't read books and they don't buy books. Let's come to the second category of people. These people buy books, but they don't read them. Their motivations for buying books are several. Some of them buy books because they want to appear to be smart. Some of them want to put a selfie with that book on social media. They want to take a picture of themselves and have a bookshelf in the background to show that they're very smart. In fact, in an interview with Mr. Javed Akhtar, one of the smartest people on the planet, he said that plenty of people used to buy Encyclopedia Britannica. It's out of publication now. You can't buy a new hard copy now. They've stopped printing it. But when they were, plenty of people would buy it and put it in their houses. Not for reading it, just because it looked good, because it was brown in color and matched the color of the furniture. So that's the second category of people. People who buy books but never read them. Let's move on to the third category. People who buy books and read them, but they don't understand them. Now, for me, the people who don't read and don't buy books are actually smarter than this category because at least they haven't wasted their time and money buying books or reading them. If you haven't understood it, what's the point? So you've got to be very, very careful before you buy a book. Are you really going to understand it? Are you going to be able to discuss it with your teacher or a friend? Does it have resources on YouTube to make it easier for you to understand some complicated stuff in that book? Otherwise, it makes no sense buying that book, but then plenty of people still do that. So that's the third category. People who buy books, read books, and don't understand anything. The next category is people who buy books, read books, understand what the book says, and they don't memorize what's in that book. Cognitive psychology research has proved that if you don't do something quickly, ideally within 1 hour of a learning session, and the learning session could be reading a book, attending a seminar, attending a meeting, 80%, 80% of that information is just deleted from your brain because your brain has to make space for more incoming information. So there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus, which looks like a seahorse, which deliberately pokes around your brain when you're in deep sleep. and gets rid of information that it feels is not worth storing. So if you're not going to do certain things within 1 hour of a learning session, you're totally going to forget it. It's just going to be cleaned out of your memory. So that's the other category of people who are also not very smart. They're as smart as people who don't buy books, because ultimately their labors are yielding them nothing. Let's go to the next category. These are people who buy books, read books, understand it, memorize it, but they don't do the most important thing, and that is implement the lessons of the book, or they don't change their behaviors in a productive way after reading that book. What's the point then? What's the point living like an animal? The unexamined life is not worth living. Every day should be a quest for getting better. One of the major reasons for reading a book should be to take lessons from that book and implement those lessons and to lead life at a more enhanced level. Otherwise, what's the point? So maybe you want to take some personal lessons from what we've spoken about so far. But coming back to the topic, if the scenario is so bleak, then why write a book in the first place? Well, there are plenty of reasons why you should write a book in spite of the scenario being so colorless. Firstly, you should write a book if you satisfy these two conditions. The first condition is that you must feel that you have something critical to say, something important that you want to present to the world. Now, what does that mean? That could mean something that's original, or it could mean something that may not be original, but you are able to communicate it in an original way, in a more creative way, in a more impactful way, in a more hard-hitting way. So it's got to be this condition that is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, there's no point. If you don't feel strongly about something, you haven't produced original content, or you haven't produced content in an interesting way, then you might as well not write a book. So that's a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. Because the other condition is that you must be passionate about communicating that information out there. You must be as eager to talk about it, to post it on social media, to make videos about it, to really be an evangelist for that knowledge, for that subject, and for your book. If you don't share a passion for sharing your passion, then you might as well just take up a job somewhere and just lead a sedentary life and don't think of becoming an author, at least. So these two aspects are really critical. And if you have these two, then you manage to find people who really matter and who will not just buy a book, but they'll go all the way to actually implementing what that book is suggesting. And those are the best books to write. You can write a lot of trash, you can sell a lot of trash, but then at least I'm not the person, or this is not the series that you want to look at if you just want to sell trash and you're just interested in the financial aspects of being an author. So we're going to talk about plenty of more aspects. We're going to talk about how do you make money out of your book, how do you promote your book at a low cost, which publishers should you have. If you want to get the forthcoming videos in your inbox, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until then, happy mind mapping.